while that one uploads, I'm gonna teach you something here. Now, don't be a brand whore. All right, so now we're gonna use Zinsser. So what are you looking for on here? Interior or exterior, all right? That means if you have to, you can leave it exposed. It's gonna have a UV inhibitor. It's gonna be expecting water. What you're looking for is the key, no, first Zinsser brand or Kilz. High hiding, all-purpose primer, sealer, and stain blocker. All right, it's effectively glue. Blocks all water and oil-based stains, smooth finish, seals odor, sticks to all surfaces, okay? I have personally validated these brands, Zinsser and Ben, and they are like glue in a can, okay? Now, that white and red can we were using, if you take that out, it only lasts about 1 year in the direct sunlight. So that one needs another coat over the top of whatever you're fucking spraying, okay? So today, we're going with gray, so we can differentiate in 5 years which work was which. So now we're going up to a gray. You buy the cutoff wheels in big stacks. They're not that expensive. They're very thin. They're very, very, very useful for cutting trim and stuff like that. Like drip edges and everything. It just fucking cuts them like butter. Big, long, coarse blades that are wood nail embedded, all right? If you cut structural fasteners with those, they'll wear out a lot faster. That's not what I'm gonna teach you right now. So you think you can't use deck fasteners, right? Because you're like, oh my fucking, I went on the forums and they said they can't do it. Those guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're mixing up old data with new data. Now they're saying that this is a rugged structural fastener, 5/16 by 3 1/8. That means it's 3 1/8 inches long and it's 5/16 thick. But what it replaces is a 1/2 inch lag screw, dude. So you look up the load table, and with 3 1/8 inch of fucking solid wood, you got 840 pounds of ultimate load on it, right? These guys were smart enough to go and load tester stuff. That's not what I want to show you. These are deck screws. R4 multi-purpose screws. All right, now look at the load table. A number 9, number 10, or a number 12. That's the thickness. They'll all do about 1,000 pounds. These are number 10 4-inchers. 1,016 pounds average ultimate load. So when I tell you you can just put one of these in and jump up and down on it, you can, because you weigh about 200 pounds and say you come down with 1,000 pounds of force, you can do it all fucking day, dude. Take this, put it in your test jig and test it. These guys are smart enough, dude. They went out and specifically got qualified for, you know, treated lumber proof and this and that. Now, the others did too, but you have to dig for that. You have to go to the manufacturer website and you have to fucking dig and dig and dig. And someone somewhere had to use them for a bunch of jobs. And they went and they got fucking a piece of paper, and you have to dig and dig and dig. And it's not always like, they don't want to share that, right? Because they spent the money to get that piece of paper, and you don't have access to it. So they call these a star drive head. That's Torx. These have the same, there's a big difference between these and these. These are a washer style head. You can put a lot more torque on them. These are a deck screw style head, but they still have the shear strength. So these are 4-inch. I'm gonna go through 2 inches of siding and then into 2 inches of wood. And these shanks are a little thicker than I'd like. These are number 10. I'd like to be a little bit smaller to have less chance of cracking the wood, but this wood doesn't crack. So do these have the drill tip? Let me look. You can just look at them and tell. Watch out, sometimes people open your box and steal a bunch. Yeah, there it is. It's T25. You can't tell the difference between other deck screws. I can, these are marked. Anyways, it's a slightly different fastener. Now the deck fasteners, I like the ones that are ceramic coated, actually have about like 1 millimeter more shank, maybe 2, 3, 4 millimeters more shank, but they're made from a different amalgamation of metal. And so that's kind of the Chinese way, where you go with more thicker metal, or you can go with less better engineered metal. So I'll show you how we use those. And when you're done, it looks like you just popped, you know, a couple of 1 1/4 deck fasteners in there, and you start unscrewing it. And when you start unscrewing my work, you realize you're like, oh, he didn't just pop a couple of 1 1/4 inch interior fasteners or deck fasteners in there. He's got 4-inch structural screws in there. So when you see me put the siding up, and instead of hitting every single stud, what I do is I make sure I've got at least 2 each. Well, start doing the math, right? First, I pull them in hard and I get all that friction. Then I've got 2,000 pounds of load there. And then I stack the next one in, and I stack the next one in, and I stack the next one in. You end up with a bunch of wood that is pulled up tight. Because, you know, when you're using a nail gun or whatever, you just kind of fucking slap it in, like, good chunk, dude. And it all just kind of goobers together, dude. We're not doing goober, we're doing structural fastening. So we're gonna draw the wood in and get a tight fit, and you'll be able to tell we have a tight fit to the point where we'll be deflecting the materials and bending the materials, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna shim, and we're gonna make sure that we're happy with the amount of surface area we've got. And then what you'll find is 5 years from now, when you gotta take that shit apart, no problemo, dude. How deep is your Torx hole? Because you're gonna have exterior paint on them. So think about how you're going to preserve your fastening points. You might consider putting an inferior material right in the Torx head, such that when you paint over the top, it's not affected. You know, I like fastening, so what I'll do, right after I paint it, well, the paint's still a little bit gummy, I'll go right in there and run each one of those fasteners and loosen them up a little bit and then tighten them back up. Good check anyways. Other people will put a little scrape of a lighter material in there. There's all kinds of aerated putties, things like that you can use. Or you just let the fucking paint go in there, and guess what, dude? As soon as the way the star tip works, as soon as you put that fucking point in there, it'll tear it and it will spit it out, and they'll come right out. So you'll get a chance to experience that. It's a good experience. And the alternative is nails that fucking long, shot out of a gun, that destroy the material when you're trying to remove them. Because you have to get in there with a fucking pry bar and pry the nails out. And if the underlying wood you're screwing into is even infinitesimally softer than the wood of the siding, the nails stick to the siding, and then the fucking nails lever out like that. And you end up with a situation that is what I call fucked. So I don't create fucked situations. You're gonna like it. So on that little patch of siding down there, I imagine I'm gonna get about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 15 fasteners. And each one of them is rated for over 1,000 pounds. So there's 15,000 pounds of fucking shear, plus all that friction, which I count. Friction's fucking real, dude. You have to be, you know, you have to be realistic. Friction fucking counts. And it's all about 50% coverage of 2 inches thick. So it's like laying in 2x4s sideways. So it's like laying in exterior rated 2x4s sideways and screwing them in with structural fasteners, and then blocking between those with 3/4 inch common wood, and then sealing it all. Only it comes out in about 5 seconds. So it's about $16 for a box. So you got to spend $16 on this, but there's 50 in there. Okay, so taxes and shit like that, call it $20 for 50, call it $40 for 100 of them, right? So they're 40 cents a piece. But you don't, I mean, and of course, if you go and you do the math on a fucking nail gun, they're 4 cents a piece. If you're buying big long strips of fucking nails, you're pa-chunk, 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 I'm making more money. Well, you're making more money for yourself, because guess what? You're gonna have to hire that guy to come back And he's gonna be like, dude, I can't get that apart, dude. That's fucking nailed together. And then you're gonna have to hire his friend, who's me, who knows how to get in there with a crowbar and a hammer and spend hours and hours and hours and hours fiddling it all apart and beating the nails out. And your labor will far exceed anything you could hope to fucking get. And nails are just going in there. The purpose of this is to be sheared. You want it pulled together tight to make fucking 90-degree angles, dude. You want it tight and pulled in. So there's really no excuse, dude. You gotta fucking fasten in. And lots of people will still tell you, well, you can use nails. Well, they want to use nails because it builds faster. Like if you're doing something huge, I understand. Like I've seen people use nails a lot of times to great success if you need to build something really big, really fast. But if you need to build something small that needs to come back apart, there's only one way to do it. So notice this does not say structural fastener. It says R4, multi-purpose screws. Now all the other deck fasteners are starting to do it too. They're just changing their labels. They're burning through their old stock. They're changing their labels to show what standards they hit because they're realizing like, oh, we've got a structural fastener. There's more than just the shear strength to a structural fastener. Those ceramic ones peel off.